If you're thinking about moving to the Salt Lake City area, well, hold up, don't pack those boxes just yet. There are a few things you might not know, but you definitely should. I'm talking from driving in the winter to wildlife encounters. These are the top 10 questions I hear all the time from people just like you who are relocating here to Salt Lake City. And trust me, this is not one you're going to want to miss because some of these questions you might not have even thought to ask about. I'm Sarah Lipich, and this is Destination Salt Lake City. Let's jump in. Number one, do you need four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? Now, the short answer here is yes. Is it something you need to purchase before you move to Utah? Not necessarily. It really just depends on the time of year that you move here. During the winter, you're definitely gonna want it. You'll see plenty of people driving with front wheel drive and snow tires, and yeah, they make it work. But honestly, one of the worst things is being stuck in several inches of snow during morning rush hour. Whether you're commuting to work or heading up to the ski resorts, sliding all over the road in snow and ice is not only frustrating, it can be really scary. I actually saw someone in a Porsche 911 cause a road closure because there were several inches of road snow and they chose to take out that car on the wrong day. That being said, four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive doesn't make you 100% safe or risk-free, but it does give you a big advantage. If you do opt out of it, at the very least, I recommend good snow tires. And if you plan on heading up the canyons after a snowstorm to go skiing or snowboarding, you'll need chains for your tires if you don't have four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. UDOT actually has checkpoints in place and they will literally not let you up the canyon without proper traction. If your vehicle has four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive with the M+S or the three-peak mountain snowflake symbol on the tires and your tread is in good shape, you won't need chains. Also, pro tip, there's a Cottonwood Canyon sticker program. Basically, you register to get your tires inspected at an authorized station and they put a sticker on your windshield so when you go up the canyon, you don't need to have your tires inspected before entering the canyon. It also helps with the flow of traffic on those busy powder days. Here's the other thing. Some years we have really mild winters in the Salt Lake Valley and you could probably get by without it. But then we'll have a record-breaking snowfall like we did in 2022 to 2023 season, where the ski resorts get over 900 inches and the valley itself sees a ton of snow. You're gonna wanna be prepared for that. So no, you don't need to buy a huge truck or a lifted Jeep to survive here. Honestly, a small SUV or a car with all-wheel drive is going to be plenty for most people. Tons of people here still drive sedans. But if you're relocating to Salt Lake, budgeting for four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive is something that you should definitely keep in mind. Number two, how does Salt Lake's altitude affect daily life? Well, Salt Lake City sits at about 4,300 feet above sea level and even higher at areas along the bench or in the canyons at the ski resorts, which I'll get into. For most people relocating here, it's significantly higher than what they're used to. So what does that mean for your day-to-day? Now, the good news is that your body usually adjusts to the altitude within like 60 to 90 days. But in the beginning, you're probably gonna notice a difference. Going up the stairs to your front porch carrying groceries might leave you a little more winded than you'd expect. If you're into fitness, running, hiking, or really any kind of cardio, you're gonna notice a difference at first. Your pace might slow or you'll gas out faster, and workouts that usually felt easy for you might just feel a little bit harder. And that's totally normal. Your body is just adjusting to the thinner air. The good news is that the training here actually builds a ton of endurance over time. So when you go back down to like sea level, you're gonna feel like a real athlete. At least I do. So one of the best ways to help your body adjust is hydration. Drinking more water is the key here. The air is drier at this elevation and you're gonna dehydrate faster than you might realize. You might see some TikTok videos about influencers here being obsessed with their hydro jugs or Stanleys, and there's a reason behind it. I don't go anywhere without mine. So if you're planning on hitting the ski resorts or the hiking trails, remember that those canyons climb fast in elevation. Snowbird's base starts at 8,000 feet and tops out at about 11,000 feet. The same rules apply, just double. Drink more water, get plenty of rest, and don't overdo it. Skiing and snowboarding are obviously already physically demanding, and when you throw in that lift beer or lack of sleep, your body's gonna let you know really quick. So yeah, you might feel a little short of breath at first, and your runs or workouts may take a hit, but don't worry, your body will totally adapt. Quick reminder before we jump to number three, I put together my free Salt Lake relocation toolkit, and you need to grab it if you're thinking about moving here. Just scan the QR code on your screen, or if you're on your phone, tap the link in the description to grab it now. Number three, hidden gems in Salt Lake. Now, people always ask me about hidden gems here. Those neighborhoods or experiences that locals love, but you don't necessarily hear about when you're just visiting. One of the first that comes to mind is 9th and 9th. It's a small district, but it has that local neighborhood charm with coffee shops, yoga studios, and little boutiques. It's not a massive area, but it's one of those spots where you feel like you've stumbled upon something unique to Salt Lake. Another favorite is Sugar House. It's got a little bit of everything: restaurants, bars, breweries, and of course, Sugar House Park. It's definitely one of the city's most lively neighborhoods. Now, if we're talking views, Suncrest in Draper is one of those areas that feels like its own little world. It's perched above the valley, so you get these incredible views of both Salt Lake and Utah County. Honestly, if you're looking for a sunset drive or just a quiet neighborhood with jaw-dropping scenery, Suncrest is definitely the place. Now, outside of neighborhoods, we've got some amazing music and event spaces that really shine in the summer. There's Red Butte Garden, which is an amphitheater by the University of Utah. It is one of the best concert venues in the valley. You can grab a blanket, pack a picnic, and watch concerts while the sun sets. It's also BYOB. In Park City, there's the Deer Valley Music Festival where you can literally listen to the Utah Symphony performing on the ski slopes. It's a super cool experience. Another one is Pirate O's in Draper. From the outside, it looks like a normal specialty market, but on the inside, you're gonna find everything from international snacks and sodas to gourmet chocolate and rare imports. It's one of those places that you pop into and you end up leaving with way more than you expected. And then you've got the farmers markets, which are huge here. Downtown Salt Lake Market at Pioneer Park is packed every Saturday with local produce, food trucks, and handmade goods. And almost every city around the valley has their own version throughout the summer. On the arts side, don't miss the Utah Arts Festival in Salt Lake City and the Park City Kimball Arts Festival. Both bring in incredible artists, live performance, and food, and they really show off that creative side of Utah that most people don't expect. The Gateway downtown also has tons of events throughout the year, from art strolls to food festivals. I post a lot on my Instagram about things to do, so follow me there at Sarah Lives Utah. And on TikTok, just add an extra H to the end. Number 4, how pet friendly is Salt Lake? Now, in general, Utah and Salt Lake in particular, it's a very dog friendly place. You're gonna see dogs everywhere, on patios, neighborhoods, and even tagging along in stores like Home Depot. Breweries and coffee shops often have water bowls out, and a lot of restaurants with patios will welcome your pup. There's a website dedicated to this topic called dogfriendlyslc.com. But there's something that catches a lot of people off guard when they move here. Many of our most popular hiking trails don't allow dogs because they're located in protected watersheds. So if you're planning on hiking in Big Cottonwood Canyon, Little Cottonwood Canyon, parts of Mill Creek, and even Draper above certain trailheads, you can't bring your dog. That rule is strictly enforced because those areas provide the valley's drinking water. That being said, there's still plenty of trails, open space areas, and parks where your dog can join you. Salt Lake has a lot of designated off-leash dog parks. Tanner Park is a big one that locals love, and Cottonwood Park has a fenced dog run. These spots are also one of the easiest ways to meet new people when you're new. In the summer, just be mindful of the heat. The pavement gets really hot here and it can burn those paws, so you'll see a lot of people using those dog booties on their feet. And in the winter, keep an eye out on the cold, snow, and salt. It can be rough on their paws too. So yeah, Salt Lake is very pet friendly. Number 5, one of the biggest questions I get is how to prepare for the weather. And honestly, it depends on where you live in the valley. Different parts of the valley get different amounts of snowfall, and depending on your neighborhood, you might want to invest in a snowblower. Now, pro tip, if your house faces south, you'll have less to shovel because once that sun hits, it's gonna melt the snow off pretty fast. The good news is that winters here aren't really that bad. Because our air isn't as humid as, say, the Midwest, the cold doesn't sting the same way. Some days I'm out showing houses and I don't even need a coat. A lot of times when it does snow, the sidewalks have melted before you even get around to shoveling. Now, Utah does have the greatest snow on earth, and it's actually a trademarked slogan for the state, but that doesn't mean that the valley gets buried in it. Honestly, there are plenty of days where the ski resorts are getting hammered with snow, and down in the valley, you barely see a flake. That's thanks to the lake effect snow from the Great Salt Lake. As the storms move in, they weaken as they approach the valley, but when they pass over the lake, they pick up moisture and they build back up. And then they get trapped against the Wasatch Mountains. That's why the canyons and ski resorts get dumped on while the valley can stay pretty mild. Most people think they need a plow or a big snow blower, but the truth is, for a normal driveway, a shovel is usually just fine. A snow blower does make it a lot easier, and honestly, it's a little bit more fun. By law, you're responsible for shoveling the sidewalk in front of your home. Driveways are up to you, but if you don't shovel, it's gonna get packed down, turned to ice, and it'll stick around for a lot longer. Snow blowers do save your back, and they cut down on time. Spring is one of the coolest times of year here because you can literally golf in the morning and ski in the afternoon. done. Resorts usually stay open until April, sometimes May, and then in the big snow years, even into June. But down in the valley, it already feels like spring, the grass is green, there's sunshine and mild temps. Summer has a dry heat. July and August, it's usually in the 90s, sometimes a little higher, but because it's a dry heat, it's way more manageable and the evenings cool down a little. By September, it starts easing off, and by late October, the mountains are already seeing their first snowfall. The valley usually doesn't see measurable snowfall until late November. If you want to track the storm cycles for the ski resorts, download the Open Snow app and follow Powder Buoy on Instagram. Also, we don't really get a lot of rain here. August actually tends to be our rainy season, but barely. Most of our moisture comes from the winter snowfall, so you don't really have to worry about your evening run getting interrupted by thunderstorms every day. Number 6, where can I live with the least snowfall? Now it really depends where in the valley you are. Snowfall can change dramatically within a few miles, depending on the elevation, which side of the valley you are on, and how close to the Cottonwood Canyons you are. So here are some of the areas that typically see less snowfall. Lehigh averages around 33 inches per year, and Eagle Mountain in South Jordan are in that 40 to 45 inch range. They'll get snow, but it's a lot more manageable and it melts faster. Just north of Salt Lake, Layton sees 43 inches a year, and Syracuse averages like in the mid 30s. Now, just as a rule of thumb, using I-15 as the guide, the further west is typically going to mean less snowfall, and if you go east towards the bench of the mountains, you'll see more snowfall. If you need to be more east for your commute, try to stay closer to I-15 and you'll see way less snowfall. Number 7, what's with the drinking laws? Now, Utah has some of the quirkiest liquor laws in the country. For starters, grocery stores only sell beer up to 5% ABV, and if you want liquor or wine or stronger beer, you're gonna have to go to a state-run liquor store. Those stores are closed on Sundays or holidays, so you're gonna wanna plan ahead for those. Restaurants have some unique rules too. You're required to order food with your drink. The idea is that you need to have the intent to dine. And across the board, bartenders have to meter their pours. You'll only get 1 ounce of liquor per drink unless it's a flavoring liquor, and that's even in those huge margaritas. Now, it's not that you can't drink here. The bars are busy and there are great breweries and cocktail bars. The rules are just different. Number 8, what's the deal with wildlife? Do you need to worry about running into wild animals all the time in the Salt Lake area? Well, it depends on if you stick to your neighborhood or head out into the mountains. Mountain lions are here, but encounters are pretty rare. Every now and then you'll see a viral video like the guy in Provo Canyon who accidentally came too close to a lion and her cubs and had to back down the trail while she followed him. Stuff like that makes headlines because it's unusual. Most people will never even see one in person. If you do end up in this situation, don't run, make yourself look big, and back away slowly. Bears are another one people ask about. Yes, we do have black bears, but you're not gonna run into grizzlies. They just don't live here. Now, black bears usually stick to the mountains and higher elevation forests, and if they wander down, it's almost always because they're looking for food in a campsite or a trash can. And when that happens, wildlife officers relocate them. If you end up close to a bear, stay calm, talk loudly, and give them space. And up in the canyons, especially around Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon or Park City, it's not unusual to come across a moose. They're huge, they look intimidating, and they can actually be more dangerous than the mountain lions. As long as you give them plenty of space, they'll usually just lumber along and do their thing. If you come across one on a hike, keep your distance. If they pin their ears back and start walking towards you, you need to back away immediately. We also have elk in Utah. They're mostly up in the mountains, but every now and then you'll see them wander down into the valley. I've even spotted them driving through parts of Lehigh and other east side suburbs. Like all of the wildlife, give them plenty of room, especially during the rut season when the bulls can be way more aggressive. If you do get charged by an elk or a moose, a good rule of thumb is to get behind a sturdy tree as a barrier, or just keep your distance and respect them so you don't end up in that situation. Also, bear spray can help for nearly any encounter gone south. You just don't want to spray it downwind. Coyotes and foxes are also pretty common, especially if you live near open space. They're not usually a threat to people, but if you've got small pets, you'll definitely want to keep an eye on them at night. Birds of prey like hawks and owls, the same thing. They'll swoop down on little dogs or outdoor cats if given the chance. Now, rattlesnakes are another big one. You usually won't find them in neighborhoods, but if you're hiking, they're out there. Most of the time, they'll rattle and warn you before you ever get too close, but it's smart to watch your step before stepping off the trail into desert shrubs. The animals you're most likely to run into are mule deer. They're everywhere. And if you head out to Antelope Island, you can actually see wild buffalo and, of course, antelope. That's just on the island though, but it is one of the coolest and most unique wildlife experiences near Salt Lake. Number 9, what are the unspoken rules in Salt Lake? There are definitely a few, but some are more personal preference than an unspoken rule. First off, the outdoor etiquette. On hiking trails, uphill hikers get the right of way. Mountain bikers are supposed to yield to hikers, and everyone has to yield to horses. Now, Sundays are a slower day. A lot of businesses stay open, but a lot of families use Sunday as a rest day or a church day. So you'll notice that things can feel a lot quieter, including skiing. Utah is super family oriented, and a lot of community events, even concerts in the park, festivals, they're just designed to be family friendly. So you're gonna see kids everywhere. Number 10, what is commuting and traffic in Salt Lake like? One of the biggest adjustments people run into when they move here is the traffic. Now, don't get me wrong, compared to places like LA or Houston, Salt Lake traffic isn't horrible, but for a mid-sized metro, it can be pretty aggressive. Most of our major commuting happens around I-15, which runs right along the middle of the valley. And because the valley itself is so narrow, all that traffic basically gets funneled into that one corridor. So when there's a wreck, which is almost every day, things back up really fast. There are roughly 6 lanes of traffic in each direction, so about 12 total in most places. Here are the biggest pain points. Now, inbound to the employment hubs are always going to be bad during rush hour in the morning, and then the same for the outbound in the afternoon. I will say that traveling south from Salt Lake down towards Utah County is probably the worst. A 20-minute drive can turn into 40 or 50 minutes, even if there isn't an accident. Going north to Davis County, it's not nearly as bad. The other big one that catches people off guard is canyon traffic in the winter. If you're planning to ski at Snowbird, Alta, Brighton, or Solitude, you need to know that traffic up Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons can be pretty tough. On a powder day, you'll see cars lined up for miles because of the avalanche mitigation that needs to take place before they can let the cars through. Now, you can check UDOT for updates and sometimes even take the ski bus, but just plan extra time and don't expect to be in and out of the canyons quickly on a big snow day. By now, I hope I answered a lot of your questions, but if I didn't, please comment below on the things you're curious about that I haven't answered, or grab your phone and call or text me with those questions so we can have a conversation about the things that you might be worried about. And here's your next step. If you haven't already, grab my free relocation toolkit. It's linked below on the QR code on the screen. My husband Tyler and I help relocating buyers every week with their concerns about moving here. If this video was helpful, hit that thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.